Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. In the last episode, we came here to the Fire Temple and began exploring it and freeing as many Gorons as we could. This episode, we are going to be going in search of the legendary hammer that the hero needs in order to defeat the evil dragon Volvagia. I've mentioned it before, but god, that is a uniquely awful name, sounding like a combination of two words for the female anatomy. So, we're back in the Wall of Death room. I'm not sure if I even talked about this episode, but there's a fiery wall of death following you, but... oh, it got me. If it hits you, it just starts again from nearby. But we can make that jump, surprisingly. I said that last episode. There's a lot of jumps in this temple that it doesn't really look like you should be able to make. But you can. We go through a tiny little connecting room here. We're basically actually, I think, underneath... between the two craters here. If you look at the map, I mentioned last episode as well that... oh, good, it's time for this thing. Nintendo's old classic, the Invisible Maze. So, there's bits of firewalls that only appear when you get near them. But yeah, if you look at the map, you'll see the whole thing is basically arranged in kind of like two cone-shaped rooms, kind of two craters, basically. So, we've explored the right-hand crater quite a lot, and we'll be exploring the left-hand one more this episode. Anyway, here is something mildly useful. This is the compass. There are a lot of rooms that have multiple levels and connect in weird ways, so actually being able to see yourself on the map and where things are is actually quite useful. Anyway, we came around to the right here, but we actually don't want to go that way to continue. We want to go round to the left. This entire room here, you've got the boulder maze on one side, on the kind of the one crater. In this crater, this is the equivalent room, but this is, the fire maze. Oh, by the way, notice this door is not actually flush with the wall. If you try and open it, it's a trick door! Yeah, one of the Gorons warned us about that, and also said if we want to get rid of that, use the Goron Special Crop. Blows it up. Right, now, how do I get over to that thing? Oh, bugger. Generally, these things appear with enough warning to... Aye, bugger! Stop you walking into them, he says, having done it twice in a bloody row. Oh! Not having a good time, am I? There we go, through the invisible maze, and into here. So, this room, there's actually, if you could look up to the left there, you can see Navi disappears occasionally. There's actually a time block up there, but there's not much point in doing it for now, so I'll do it later. There's also a Goron there that we can't open. So, I'll be back for both of those a little later. Now here, we are in another fire maze room. So, what we need to do is you need to get through that wall of fire there. Going to the right here is, there's not much there for now. I'll be back there in a second. Oop. So... what we need to do is hit this switch here, which will lower that fire. But we need to plan our route to it to make sure we can do it in time. So we need to come around to the left here and... oh, that's it. Okay, that's actually pretty simple. So hit the switch. And the fires go down, and indeed, yes, you can cross before the timer goes off. Once again, you will notice this door is also... oh, bugger! No! I thought hitting it made a weird noise, but no, it also was. Any door that isn't flush is usually going to be a mimic door. Blow them up with a bomb, and behind it is a real door, though weirdly a different looking door, which is mildly cool. Time for a new enemy! So, this is the point at which I am going to fire up my giant's knife, because these enemies can be quite time-consuming. This is... a flare dancer. Extinguish its flaming clothes first. There are two ways of doing this. The Gorons have said we can use the Goron Special Crop, and I guess I'll show that off first. So chuck a bomb at it. On impact, the bomb will blow up, and the thing will be on the ground. It'll run away from you, so kind of go around to the other side, and then lay into it, especially with a giant sword. Oh wow, the thrust range on this thing's bloody huge, isn't it? I guess it is, because it is a massive sword. Far easier than what I just did is to use the grappling hook. So you pull him out that way, and then just go to town on him that way. Very handy. Come on. Once you've done enough damage to him, he'll always just go back in, and we are doing damage at twice the rate because of the giant's knife, which is very handy. You'll notice his colour changes as well. The temperature of his colour is proportional to how much health he's got left. So he kind of goes from red to orange to green, then to blue, and then he blows up when he's done. That is the Flare Dancer. Quite a strange little enemy. So I'm going to switch my sword back now because I want to save the giant's knife. Like if you look on the gear menu, you'll notice it does say a large, keen, yet easily broken blade. When wielding it, you cannot use a sword, so Yes. You'll notice... Oh, bugger, hey! I was going to say you'll notice nothing unlocked, but that middle of the room is actually an elevator, which brings us up to the summit of the second crater of the Fire Temple. That was a lie, but well, I mean, it does bring us up there, just not entirely. If we hit that switch, then it makes a firewall disappear up there. But as we've seen before, you can't quite... Oh, can we? Oh, no, you can't quite get up there in time. Yes, they did design it that way. So we know what to do here. Let's head back up. And this time we can just drop a bomb down there. Oh, balls. Balls! Hup! I kind of forget that when you do the shielding trick, it drops the bomb exactly at your feet, whereas pressing A places it slightly in front of you, actually. So if you remember at the last crater, we did a kind of thing where we had to hit a switch and run around the crater in time in order to get a special rupee. This time, in this crater, we have to do a similar thing, except it's actually much more irritating and more dangerous. So I'm going to start off by doing something strange. I'm going to create a Ferora's Wind warp point here. So if I fall down there, I go back very, very far in the dungeon, potentially. Where actually is that down there? Let's have a little look. Yeah. Okay, it's actually not huge. It's not as far as I thought. But it's still irritating. And there is a good chance of falling off on this. So that's the switch we'd have to hit. There's two ways to do it. There's the inner path and the outer path. I'm going to start on the outer path. I haven't hit the switch yet. The outer path, it's actually impossible, because you have to stop and climb up all these things, and I believe it's actually not possible to get round there in time. What it is possible to do, though, with this route, is kill that fucking fire keys, because these can be a real bastard when you're trying to run along that delicate inside path. So, doing a kind of dry run this way, where your only purpose is for back killing, much more handy. Right, they're all dead now. Here is our target, and once you get to the end here, you can simply just jump back down and try again from the beginning. This time, let's actually hit the switch and do it under time conditions. Oh, that was a confusing camera movement. So, let's start by... There we go, we should be okay. Yeah, it doesn't actually... It looks like it gets thinner in places, but it doesn't. It's not enough to make a difference. Time for the dungeon item. So this is the Megaton hammer. Use a button to smash and break junk. It's so heavy you need 2 hands to swing it. So indeed, yes, we will put that on to Y, I think, because we'll be using it quite a lot. So yes, it's kind of like the Skull Hammer in Wind Waker. So it's quite heavy and swings very slowly. You just do a single wham with it. You can also hit sideways if you're L targeting. You can do a jump attack with it, which is very powerful. It is more powerful than the sword, and can also do things it can't. But kind of much like with the Giant's Knife, then there is no option for shielding with it. Another nice thing it can do is, if you see a panel that looks like this, oh bloody missed it, you can whack them into the ground, which is very handy. And we kind of create a new way through. This thing here, these weird like Moai style statues, can also only be got rid of with Megaton Hammer. So here, let's take up keys. You may notice I have a hatred of fire keys. They can just turn up at the worst possible times. It looks like a bit of a dead end up ahead, other than, you know, keys. This is a waste of arrows, fuck it. But it's not a dead end, so if you hit this with the hammer... Man, the fire angle... It's a fire angle. Good one. The Fire Temple loves its weird camera angles, and that is no exception. Grab a box, trust me, because you'll see there's a blue switch down the bottom. Fuck off, fire keys. Do you hurt my box? Blue switches, if you remember, need to have a weight kept on them in order to function, so boxes is useful for that. Boxes is useful for that. Good one. We're getting towards the end of the Fire Temple already. All these temples, they're all shorter than I remember, but I think that's because I've planned what I'm... Oh, come on, Link, you stupid bastard. Get in the fucking hole. There we go. It's because I'm kind of planning what I'm doing. Oh, by the way, this switch looks rusted. If you stand on it, nothing happens. Rust switches can only be activated with the Megaton Hammer. I think it's because I'm being efficient in terms of, like, I'm getting all the keys first and stuff like that, and I've actually planned what I'm going to do, therefore they feel much more, much faster than I remember them being, because I remember they are harder than the child dungeons, and I remember them being longer as well, but I think if you know what you're doing, they're actually about the same length, because each one's taking about 2 episodes, because we will be finishing off this one this episode. This is a strange one in that you get the dungeon item actually relatively close to the end of the dungeon. So there, we brought a time block down, which allows us to cross over here, and hitting the rust switch frees up that Goron. So if we talk to him, he says, "Are you releasing me? Am I free to go? I'll tell you a secret for saving me. A door is hidden behind the statue at the entrance to this temple, but the Goron special crop won't work on it. Don't you have anything stronger?" Indeed, we do have something stronger, of course. We have the Megaton hammer. As ever, there's a key inside his cell, and I believe that's actually the last Goron to free in the game. Well, in the temple. Actually, also in the game. I don't think there's any more freeing of Gorons to do after this. But if we come back up here, you remember as well, we were given one of the first hints we got was you need to do something about the pillar in the room where we met Darunia. And fortunately, if we talk to Navi, she'll tell us.
You can see down from here. Isn't that the room where we saw Darunia?
And this is the pillar stuck in the ceiling. We know what to do with it. Oh, nearly fell off there. Oh, I thought there was more of a cutscene. Oh well, let's jump down after it then. I love how he falls that way and then just lands so gracefully. Yes, we're back here and we can actually get to the door now. But the one thing we're missing is the boss key. So in order to do that, we need to go back here. I was going to cut, but I realised we're actually right there anyway. So in this room here, if we come round to the right here, you can see this marked on the map as well, but there is another one of those Moai things. The Moai, by the way, what I'm referencing there, is those statues on Easter Island are called the Moai, and it kind of looks a bit like that. If we knock all three of those out of the way, we can now use our finally obtained key to go through here. So, there's a fair few enemies in this room, including everyone's favourite fucking fire keys. I think the Megaton hammer, I don't know if... Oh, look at that. There we go, yes. So the Megaton hammer, if you use it anywhere near a torch slug, flips them over in one, which is actually very helpful. Though they're not... I'm actually not killed them yet. Do they flip back at all? Ever? Well, if not, then that's very handy. You just completely permanently incapacitate them. Well, nice way of taking care of a room full of torch slugs. I do love that ridiculous link spinning thing it does when it's trying to show me that a door is opened. Anyway, we've got another one of these tile rooms here, so just sit and defend against the tiles. And then we've got another like, so I'm going to shoot him safely from a distance. Don't you be stealing my stuff. 2 shots will usually take care of them, and there's a third skulltular on the wall. Third? I think it's like my 5th in this dungeon. My 2nd next to a like, so God knows where 3rd came from. If you didn't lose any stuff to a like, you get a lot of money for it. Anyway, time for another flare dancer, which means cracking out the old, I want the Megaton hammer, not the Megaton hammer, the Giant's knife, but I also want the hook shot. We'll put that on instead of the Megaton hammer. The Megaton hammer is just a bit too slow to actually use against flare dancers. Where's he gone? So it's over there. So yeah, you'll notice I didn't really show off the colour change last time, but he's red now. Well, he's like orange when you start. Oh, bugger! Oh, my sword broke. Well, now we have the gimpy handle of the Giant's knife, which is... I mean, it still does damage, but I think it does the same amount of damage as the Kokiri sword, so it's not even as powerful as the Master Sword, and you still can't shield with it. This feels a bit ridiculous, but hey. Well, I'll let him escape for now, and switch back to... I don't want a broken Giant's knife anymore. A Giant's knife with a shattered blade. It's no longer Giant size, nor really much of a knife at all. Thanks, Nintendo. I hadn't realised. Well, back to the Master Sword it is. It's a shame, I kind of wanted that for Volvagia. It does very much speed that process up. So now you notice when the Flare Dancer comes out, he's green, so he's definitely getting colder. So a nice way of just dealing with this is you just wait for him to go that way, jump attack him a little bit, and oh, that was enough to kill him. Wonderful. Yeah, it's kind of annoying that the game says to use the Goron special crop, because while you can do that, it's much more irritating. Whereas, because you need bombs and stuff like that, whereas doing it with the hookshot, nice and straightforward. We got bombs for defeating him, which wasn't really worthwhile, but there is actually, but it opened up this way here, which generally was worthwhile. So if I lied earlier when we said there's the final Goron, because the final Goron is in fact here. If we hit this with a switch, hit this with a switch, hit the switch with the Megaton hammer, there we go. Then we free our final Goron. Are you releasing me? Am I free to go? Oh, I see. Big Brother Darunia asked you to rescue me. I owe you big time. Please help Big Brother. It's kind of weird he says that, because it's like, that sounds like something the first Goron should say, rather than the last one, and you literally can only get to this one once you've got the Megaton hammer, so it has to be basically one of the final ones. Anyway, special chest, and we all know what that means. Indeed, we got the boss key. So that's everything kind of cleaned up here. Where does this take me out? I actually can't remember. Oh! Was that door always there? I guess it must have been locked. Fair. Right, so back at Darunya's room, there's actually one final thing I want to do. Because we're a little low on health. And if I remember from the bloody Stalfos in the Forest Temple, I don't think... Actually, no, I was going to say I don't think we have any fairies left, but also we had to drain all our bottles to... in order to fill them with bloody big pose. But there are some fairies in this room, which I'm going to grab before the boss fight, because this one can potentially be a little on the dangerous side. It's an easy boss fight. Oh, okay. It's an easy boss fight, but can output a lot of damage. Boss is a bit kind of a glass cannon, so nice to be ready. So there is one fairy there. And there is a second fairy there. Always nice to have them as insurance, you know. Just to make sure. I don't intend to die. Well, I never intend to die in games, but Ocarina is quite hard, like, even with a lot of heart pieces. Like, you can see I'm down to, like, half of my available health. Like, death is always an option. So I would say onto the two buttons, equip your Megaton hammer and your bow and arrow. And with that, let's go through to the Volvagia. Oh, God, that was a terribly timed hiccup. Let's go through to Volvagia. Subterranean Lava Dragon Volvagia. I must say, ridiculous names aside, I really like the design on Volvagia. It pokes its head out of a hole, and then it's time to play whack-a-mole. Hit it with your Megaton hammer, and it'll fall down. You're actually now best to wail on it using a sword. A jump attack will be nice there. Jump attack from the giant's knife would be even better. But apparently that option wasn't open to us. And yeah, much as I... Oh, at this point, by the way, when he's flying around and breathing fire, you can hit him for a bit of extra damage with the bow and arrow. Kind of useful to speed the fight up a bit. Yeah, ridiculous names aside, I think the design on Volvagia is really cool. The way it's kind of the serpent that moves through the air with the kind of head of flames, but that looks like a skull. It's a really cool looking boss, I'll admit. Right. Oh, now he's doing too little. He does a little fake out. But then, same kind of thing. He's down and hit him with a jump attack. Ooh, sometimes you can get a second one in, but yeah. That's the thing, you get such a small window to hit him, so if you can do double damage in that window with the giant's knife, it's so handy to be able to do that. Worth noting though, so the giant's knife, oh, he's gone into the ceiling, which means he's going to start dropping rocks on us. Yes, the giant's knife is breakable, but there are options going forwards. You can pay just 200 rupees to buy a second giant's knife. You can buy as many of them as you want whenever you break them, but as you've seen, they don't last very long, and there's not a huge amount, as I've kind of said, to spend rupees on necessarily in the late game, so it can actually be handy to just kind of buy them. But there is also a quest I'm going to be doing shortly after this dungeon. There is a way to forge it in a way that means... Oh, bugger. Oh, I didn't get him on time. Ballsack. Yeah, there's a way to forge it so that it never breaks. And that's the side quest chain we're going to be doing. It's quite a long side quest chain. It's one we're going to be doing after this... Well, not immediately after this temple. We'll have to some other nonsense first. We should nearly have him down now. So this can damage him, but when he's flying around like that, you can't deal the final blow to him. The final blow to him has to be dealt whack-a-mole style. So he does a couple of fake outs now. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Wow. Should just be able to get him in time. Oh, balls! This is what I mean. He can output a lot of damage for that, I'm glad I picked up those fairies. Like, he hasn't hit me that much, but it's just all his hits do a lot of damage. But we've got him, and there he goes. Incidentally, I think that was cool as fuck, that he knocked us down, thought we died, and then we got up and were like, no, bitch, and turned it back on him. Anyway, I'll shut up now, because explosions. So the head burns away and becomes a heart container. Let's head out. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate what you did. I thank you on behalf of the whole Goron race. You turned out to be a real man, just as I thought you would. By the way, I, the wild Darunia, turned out to be the great sage of fire. Isn't that funny, brother? Well, this must be what they call destiny. Nothing has made me happier than helping you seal the evil here. Hey, brother, take this. This is a medallion that contains the power of the fire spirits, and my friendship. You receive the Fire Medallion. Darunia awakens a sage and adds his power to yours. Don't forget, now you and I are true brothers.